Shane Van Gisbergen sweeps the weekend NASCAR at Chicago, not without roughing up Connor Zilisch. And is it time to have the conversation about SVG being the best road course racer? We're going to talk about that today. NASCAR Chicago, is it going to come back? We have our good friend Jackson Todd, who was at Chicago, lives in Chicago, to get his perspective on, you know, does the event still feel fresh? Last year we called it a crown jewel. How do we still feel about that? And then IndyCar was at Mid-Ohio, but we're not talking about the race because we are all talking about Josef Newgarden, how evil he is for turning his back on the media. Alex is laughing because he knows how evil he is. We're evil.
Well, I can't wait to talk about that.
Oh my gosh. Hello. Welcome back to the Gay Racing Podcast. Zack and Alex are back with you today. Of course, not alone, as kind of hopefully, I don't know if it's going to be a tradition for much longer. We'll have to see. Jackson Todd joins us as tradition after the Chicago race, the third annual NASCAR Chicago street race. Jackson, you were there. You've been at every event. And I am so excited to ask you today just like what that event was like. I don't know. We'll discuss, I guess, Chicago's future in a little bit. But just in general, how was your weekend? Just, you know, at the race.
So good. It's like the way that I feel about the event, like it's truly like, I don't say it lightly, but it's as close as I feel the way that I feel at the Indy 500. Like
that's crazy.
Of all the races I go to, it's in the way, not in like the Indy 500 is the Indy 500, but
yeah, I know.
It's the way that like everything just feels right. It just feels right. Everything just hits in the right way for me, where it's like, this is a NASCAR race that's like, it's close by. It's a cool event. Like, there's just so many people there. It's a good race. It's just people are there having a good time, and it just feels special. And there's just all of this that comes together at that race that I don't feel at the other races that I go to, except for the Indy 500.
Yeah, I think why that is, and Alex can speak on this, as you know, he's been to the Indy 500 many times. It ascends, it culturally ascends or goes past just being a race. That it's one of the few NASCAR races on the schedule, Alex, that is not just like, and there is good racing, but we also talk about it for what it does for the sport outside of the racing, right? Getting it to newer eyes. I mean, we glazed it so much last year, right, in the summer.
It's an attempt at outreach that we've never seen NASCAR really do before, outside of like the LA Coliseum with the Clash there for a bit. But this doesn't feel like the LA Coliseum where people kind of got bored of it or just kind of felt like a whatever event. The NASCAR street course still feels like there's high interest in Chicago. And I think Jackson can probably speak more on that.
Yeah.
I want to ask Jackson about that because I can't really get the vibe on Twitter if that's the case, because I think some people are kind of feeling that third year, like kind of over this, right? And there's definitely almost maybe less excitement. That's from my perspective. What's your perspective, Jackson? Because you actually lived there and were there.
I would say my boots on the ground perspective generally is just like, this is a summer event. This is a thing that happens in downtown. It's like, you know, people that know me or like, you know, vaguely know me are like, oh, are you going to NASCAR? And I'm like, yes, I'm going to NASCAR. Yeah. And, you know, there's, you know, we'll talk about, you know, pros, cons, 4th of July, but like, oh, we got the NASCAR traffic downtown. Like, it's just a thing that's like discussed as a summer event happening downtown. Not on the same scale, but maybe in the same way that someone will talk about, oh, it's Lollapalooza weekend downtown. Or like, oh, are you going to Lollapalooza? Like, not on that scale, but it's in that same kind of like, you know, strain of conversation, if that kind of answers that question. Like, people are aware it's happening. Like, it's in your face. It's happening.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, obviously year one was like, whoa, NASCAR's here. This is a new thing. But like, it's still in the, like, it's a summer event happening in Grant Park. You can't, you're aware of it.
Yeah. I think it's only gotten better because it being, well, a routine thing for 3 years at least. People that weren't there before, they heard about it. They might be like, you know, maybe next year I'll go. Right? Yeah. I bet there were a lot of people that did that. And that kind of makes me think in terms of, you know, are we going back to Chicago? Are there going to be other street races? I sure hope so, because I think we just have such a nice tradition here that I wouldn't want to mess up, I guess.
And honestly, guys, I thought this was the best Chicago street course race yet of the three. And that's maybe partially because we didn't have any weather impacts, really.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this whole thing. I do wish there were no stage cautions. I think it could have been even much better. But that's not Chicago's fault. That's a NASCAR rule fault. This was just so engaging from the first lap to the very last lap. And it wasn't like SVG dominated this race either. And we'll talk more about his win in a bit. And I asked people on Blue Sky, like, is it a hot take? Like, for me to say this was the best one? And everyone that was in my replies was agreeing with me. A lot of people were talking about the weather cooperating. And I asked our Patreon members as well, like, hey, would you like to see this race come back in the future? And we have a Patreon comment from Finley, said Chicago should continue, but doing more than one street race would really water all of them down.
Yeah, maybe.
And Patreon member Chris says, I'd love to continue with Chicago, but I'd be thrilled with another urban street course. Just too cool seeing them drive through a city.
It's so cool. And the thing about it is it really changes the NASCAR kind of image of it being a redneck sport that drives in circles. Like putting them on the streets in the city changes that perception a lot, in my opinion.
Definitely. I think one thing I want to go back on the quality of race is also appreciating that, like, in year one, we were sitting here talking about, like, this was just so cool that this even happened. And then year two, we were like, this event is cool. Also, it kind of sucked that it rained again, but it's pretty neat. And here we are in year three, and like we can like legitimately like analyze the race going through here. Like the race is of quality. Yeah. Like you have this layer of event and like, you know, all of that is going on in the background. But at the end of the day, we still had a NASCAR race that we can sit here and talk about. And I think that's what's really cool about it is that you have a street course that, like, if IndyCar ran the street course, that probably wouldn't be a good race. But this as a NASCAR track works pretty well, and that's what's really neat about it too. And when you talk about these other places, as these drivers have figured out this street course, you're not necessarily going to be able to pick it up and place it somewhere else. This is a unique track, and it's been really cool to watch the drivers develop with it over the last 3 years in various conditions.
Yeah, because I don't know if you could take NASCAR to like a random, like St. Pete, for example, random IndyCar street course and have the same kind of racing, because the simplicity of Chicago street course kind of plays into what stock cars like to do. They like to, you know, they like the deep braking zones. They like the kind of short track-esque style of beating and banging. And another thing with the racing this weekend is I forgot that we're racing the next gen car. I you know, like any other week, it's like, man, this race is whatever. It's either good because of the next gen car or bad because of the next gen car. Here, we're just watching drivers muscle these stock cars around on a really tough, tricky track. And not only is that what I think I love to see, what fans love to see, what makes people respect NASCAR, but it's why SVG dominating, in my opinion, isn't as boring, because it's so impressive to see him. He's won 4 of the 5 races he's raced at that track. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Also, and just getting, you know, the inviting new fans kind of aspect to it, it was really cool. It's really cool that you have a road race, which is like pretty impressive. You can go through these streets, but you are getting that core NASCAR function of the beating and banging. Like, we'll talk about Bubba and Bowman in a little bit, but the way that my grandstand was reacting as they just slammed.
My God, that's NASCAR. It's Martinsville.
It's Martinsville.
It
right?
is.
And that's what was. And when I stood down in my little corner over by the bus stop on practice day, and I was like, it's during the Xfinity race, I was like, this feels like Martinsville almost in this corner.
It's
like,
more Martinsville than current Martinsville.
This is kind of the most NASCAR-y you can get on a road course, almost, if that makes sense. Like, if you're talking about like traditional beating and banging NASCAR happening on a road course because of the tight barriers, and, you know, you don't have like at Watkins Glen where you can swing out to wherever.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're like, you gotta just slam into them, and that's it's just really fun.
That's been a theme this year with the short COTA course, the stadium section at Mexico City. We're like, especially in Mexico, those Mexican fans got to see kind of like short track racing with NASCAR, right? With that stadium section.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a theme I've been noticing. And it's great to see it in the Cup Series too, because, you know, we didn't get that for a few years with this car.
And, well, there's been a lot of chatter on if this is going to continue or not, or return. There's been a lot of rumors and reports about San Diego possibly coming in next year. That might be replacing this, or maybe we'll have that and the Chicago street race. Yeah. And as one of our Patreon members said a minute ago, like, would 2 street races be too much? There's actually a quote here from the Chicago Sun-Times from a Chicago City Council member that says, quote, "There's a 2-year extension that needs to be discussed with NASCAR. The mayor is going to sit down with NASCAR in the coming weeks to try and work that out."
I think we need to send Jackson Todd to that meeting. Get it, Jackson, do your magic.
Send me the NASCAR delegation.
Yes, literally.
Yes. And the Chicago mayor, Brandon Johnson, is apparently open to extending and doing that 2-year extension, but only after exploring the possibility of shifting the event off of July 4 weekend. And Jackson, when I was prepping the doc for this episode, you added a note saying that you think they should move off the 4th as well. But considering that the mayor is open to the idea of continuing, if they move off the 4th, where do you think they should put it?
I didn't even know. I said that before I knew the mayor said it this morning.
See, go to that meeting. I'm just saying.
But that is genuinely the only complaints I have heard from people are like, I mean, I guess the main complaint I hear is that it is 4th of July weekend. It is already messy, and oh my God, NASCAR is happening downtown.
Because everyone's already traveling all over the place.
This 4th of July is a big Chicago weekend before NASCAR showed up. Really? Chicago does not have a lot of nice weather days, and the 4th of July weekend is a weekend. Granted, it's been pouring rain since NASCAR's been here, but this is a big summer weekend for this city, and NASCAR blocking off those streets for this weekend is pretty inconvenient. Okay. So I think if they moved it off of 4th of July weekend, they would maybe not win back some people that aren't a fan of the event happening, but the people that don't like it would at least see it as a compromise and being like, oh, nice, we get our 4th of July weekend back. It can happen in, I don't know, middle of June or whenever.
Yeah, I can imagine that because it's like the busiest part of the summer. And when they did this, it felt weird because I think having a 4th of July race weekend at Road America makes sense. It felt right.
The 4th of July angle felt much more important to NASCAR than it did to Chicago, if that makes sense. Like Chicago will have an okay 4th of July without NASCAR, but NASCAR needed somewhere to go on 4th of July. If you kind of see that.
I think there's even better places for NASCAR to go, though, like Daytona, but for real, like literally anywhere else. Like even IndyCar at Mid-Ohio kind of has good 4th of July vibes.
Like, I saw some people on social media pitching the idea of Daytona and Chicago swapping dates. Would that be too late in the year, Jackson?
Well, I don't know. I don't know about a regular season finale on the. I guess. Well, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. It's NASCAR.
Daytona's the regular season finale.
He locks himself into the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. What's Lala weekend even? I mean, that's the event of the summer out there.
They could honestly. I feel like they should do it literally the week after.
Lollapalooza July 10th. Is the last weekend of July 1st. End of July, start of August is Lollapalooza weekend, for what it's worth.
I don't know what
that's like the Grant Park event.
Okay.
Even if they have it like the week after, they're still like setting up's going to be disrupting the city, so they probably don't want that on July 4th weekend. So I guess your options are
a nice spot.
Yeah, or Pride Month.
Go for a Father's Day, maybe. I don't know.
Ooh, that might be that might be a cool angle. Better than going to. I thought it was weird they went to a foreign country Father's Day weekend, but whatever. Did they?
Maybe I don't know. No one's going to Kansas on Mother's Day.
Right. Anyway,
again, we talked about that literally. Just
one more point before I talk about the race. Chicagoland. There's been chit chat about that possibly coming back if the Chicago Street Course doesn't come back.
It's
thoughts.
Can I just say I don't even care about Chicagoland. I just hate the Chicagoland truthers. They're so annoying.
That's the problem.
They say it in spite of the street course, despite the street course. They don't actually. Well, maybe they do care about the racetrack because it is a good racetrack.
In a perfect world, we could have both, but I doubt NASCAR would do that because I think Chicagoland would be like on par with Kansas in terms of race quality with this car. But I'd rather have the street course for the actual cultural impact and growth it does for the sport.
If you have the oval race after the street race sometime. Maybe. You know what I mean?
Do a
When
Wednesday night prime race at Chicagoland, and then the next, like the Sunday, is the street race.
Get the street.
No?
I'm sorry, Jackson. We keep cutting you off, but get the street course, have the street race, and then have those fans be like, "Oh my God, NASCAR's cool." Well, there's an oval race in 2 months. Go check that out. It's not
Down
that
the
far
road.
away.
Yeah.
I don't know. Go ahead, Jackson.
I was just gonna say, racing at Chicagoland feels like losing the plot a little bit. Oh my God, my timer lights just turned off. Racing at Chicagoland feels like losing the plot a little bit. Because the like, if it didn't work 5 years ago, why is it suddenly gonna work now? And the mile and a halves have gotten better, but like that really I don't think that matters in a situation like that. So
I see what you're saying.
think, like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying
Yeah, because I hate chasing.
Whatever.
I hate chasing the product.
If you're going back to the way you used to do something, well, think about why you stopped doing it before. And there's no reason that all these people that can, walk to this racetrack or take this works because it's downtown, right? Like, people that travel to this race, part of the reason they travel to this race is because it's in downtown. It's a street course. They're not going to drive out to Joliet to see them race on an oval. So
I am much more likely to travel to the street race than to Chicagoland because I want to go visit the city.
Exactly. If you truly cannot renew with the city and you want to stay in this market, sure, go race at the Oval. But like you said, the Chicagoland truthers are the
Yeah, it's just so annoying. Like, because I do get it. Something irks me about chasing the racing product because we got in this situation where the Gen 6 car was good on short tracks and road courses, and we added a bunch of those, and then the next gen car came out, and it flipped the script on what tracks were good and what tracks were bad. I just don't like chasing it because it just doesn't feel right to me, and that's so stupid to say. Like, dude, if the mile and a halves are good, sure, have more mile and a halves, but when you say it's losing the plot, you are so correct. Because again, last year we were calling this race a crown jewel, right? And I said earlier, I don't know if you can have this same kind of product on other street courses, right? And designing a street course, as we see with the current Detroit IndyCar street course, it sometimes in even the Nashville one, you sometimes you just get put in a box. I don't want NASCAR to leave Chicago, go to San Diego, and they end up with this worst product. And even if the city is better or equal, it's just, I feel like you're just leaving behind something great for something worse.
And that's not to mention, like, we're talking about the streets and the layout, but also like Grant Park itself as an asset. Like, the reason that's so attractive is because there is Grant Park. That's part of the reason the city is so great, is that we have this lakefront and these parks, and like NASCAR is able to move their festival into this park ground that's in such a phenomenal location. And I don't know the layout of San Diego or other cities like that, but it's hard to imagine such a good spot existing elsewhere. You can't just assume you can pick this up and move it elsewhere and have the same effect. The LA Coliseum, that track inside a stadium,
I think you could with that.
Probably pick that up. And
that's something you can put anywhere.
But you can't treat a street course in an event like this in that same way.
Yeah,
but not in a baseball stadium. I don't know what they're cooking remember that rumor? They're racing in a baseball stadium. I don't know if that's going to work.
Well, let's chat about hometown hero of Chicago, Shane Van Gisbergen.
Is that why he talks funny?
If you saw, there was a post on Blue Sky that was like, Shane Van Gisbergen elected mayor of Chicago. I thought that was hilarious.
I mean, at this rate,
I love how like local Chicago fans that maybe aren't even like NASCAR fans. They're I love this guy.
Jackson texted me that SVG had the loudest cheers and driver intros, right?
I mean, of course he did.
Of course he does.
And to add on to this,
he's the Jesus that brought NASCAR to them.
Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney got like mid
that was
cheers, right? Yeah.
Hosavvar got a lot of cheers.
They want the city slickerman because he's a city boy. He looks cute. He's got those pretty blue eyes. He doesn't got like long hair or mustache. He's all clean, city cut.
Well, I do just need to shout out, like, the SVG Chicago fandom is crazy. And cool.
I love it.
We're going to get more into like SVG big picture here in a second. but it's just so fun to have a guy that's like, yeah, that's our guy out there, you know? And it's like,
so cool.
even when he's battling Connor Zilisch in the Xfinity race, I'm like, I'm kind of rooting for Connor in this scenario. But the crowd, the crowd doesn't care about Connor Zilisch. Who's this kid, right? The crowd cares about SVG. He's our guy. And I found myself rooting for Shane in that moment because I was like, yeah, he's our guy. Yeah. And it's so cool. Also, like Indy, where I'm sure this happens on other road courses too, but I don't go to a lot of road courses. This is my road course, but it's like Indy, where the cars are on the other side, and so it's kind of quiet, and so you get the crowd reaction. Like you have these crowd reaction moments, like you're in a baseball stadium, because it's kind of quiet. And when SVG makes a pass for the lead, and then the whole grandstand goes, like it felt like
so cool.
Like it felt like I was watching like 2010's Dale Jr. take the lead. Like it was crazy.
Right. It's kind of like F1 where each track has like an identity. Like when we go to Britain, Lando Norris this weekend had a whole grandstand. When we go to the Dutch Grand Prix, Max Verstappen has like each race has almost like an identity that's going to root for a certain driver. And we don't really get that in NASCAR much because everyone's based in, based in North America. Carolina. But like, for example, Chase Elliott at Atlanta, and now it's like SVG at Chicago for like a completely random reason. And I think a part of that, though, is the magic of that 2023 race. Like, it's going to be hard to top that. It's one of the most magical moments in NASCAR history. Yep. Like, something like that should have never happened, and it did. It's so cool. And SVG has come a long way since that 2023 win, Alex. He's tied Marcus Ambrose with 7 wins across the top 3 NASCAR series. And he's got 3 career cup wins now. And my dumbass, I know earlier this year, I said he might not win. He might not win again.
He's now the winningest foreign-born driver in NASCAR Cup Series history. And as you said, he did tie Marcus Ambrose for the top 3 NASCAR series overall. And if he wins one more race this year, assuming Bell, Larson, Hamlin don't win another, he'll be tied for most wins of anyone in the season. And also,
wait, when's our next road course?
Sonoma's this weekend, but
next week. Another road course.
And I saw this stat. He is the first driver since Tony Stewart to win 3 races in his first 33 starts.
Okay, but
that is different. It is different, but that's still really cool.
Here's the thing. These drivers, and I know the next gen car is still relatively new, but these drivers have been racing at these tracks. Well, not these tracks, I guess, especially the ones SVG's won at, but in these cars at road courses for some for over a decade, some for 2 decades. And SVG, still not that experienced in the Cup car, is able to he's the class of the field, right? I mean, we've seen Ty Gibbs and Chris Buescher's definitely put it to him at Watkins Glen, and we'll get to that conversation later at the more traditional road courses. But I stand to be so impressed with this guy, with SVG, and it's almost a little bit disrespectful when people talk about, man, well, he shouldn't be taking up a playoff spot, blah blah blah. Are you sure? Because he just won 2 races.
Well, and if it kind of comes back to the same thing of like, okay, well then go beat him. Like, all right, okay, well then someone do it better.
If you're okay. Yeah, this is the 3rd race at Chicago. SVG, by the way, it's like people say the Chicago street course wasn't even. It gave SVG an advantage. It did not give him an advantage. He was also new to it. It's new to everybody. If anything, it just evens the playing field.
That first time, right? I would say he did have an advantage. He had more experience on the wet weather, but this time, everyone was on an even playing field. They've all been there before.
And he didn't even get to run the race last year. He got taken out so early. So if you want to get into it.
So
I don't know.
We have a Patreon comment from Chris who says, with 2 wins, I think SVG is legit. Like it or not, Trackhouse has done a great job bringing him in to take full advantage of the road and street courses. It'll be a lot of fun to watch him and Connor Zilisch again at Sonoma. Jackson, there's been a lot of talk about, the playoff stuff, SVG getting the playoff spot. But this plan that Trackhouse had, it really is working exactly as they intended it to.
Yeah, it's really neat how I saw, where was I read something somewhere, but it's appreciating I think this weekend is what really made me appreciate it. I almost bought a shirt, but they were just so ugly. I didn't get. They were just.
You should. You're from Chicago.
So
He's your
ugly.
guy.
I could not get one. I would never wear it. Like,
was it one of those shirts where the car is like the whole shirt?
Yeah, and it was
the numbers
white,
massive,
and it was just like, yeah. Anyway, but it's so cool because he is getting better on the ovals, right? Like, if you pull up the Cup Series standings right now, he just in the last few weeks, he's gone from that like the Cody Ware, Riley Herbst, Cole Custer tier. And like now he's like with the Brad Keselowski, Daniel Suarez, Todd Gilliland, Justin Haley, Noah Gragson. Like he's past those guys now.
He's ahead of Suarez in points.
Yes,
teammate.
And so he's
more career wins than Suarez.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's kicking butt on the road courses, but he is also getting better on the ovals. And his
and he's going
all these drivers go through this like development, like as they get through the Cup Series and they get through the ovals, and it's just so satisfying with him to watch. He's progressing on the ovals, like clearly, but he's not just like good on the road courses. He's like kicking everyone's butt to like a degree we haven't seen before. And like, I don't know, it's really satisfying to watch. Like the project is working, right? They brought him in. And the goal was like, okay, maybe he'll win on a road course and maybe he'll like jump into one of these playoff spots. And like, it's like, okay, boom, that worked. Also, he's getting better at the ovals. Like it's just working to perfection. And it's so impressive. It's so satisfying. It's hard not to be a fan of him and just how this is going. And also not to mention like Trackhouse as a whole has like not been with it. Like Chastain's been like good, not great. And like, Suarez
they've had good races.
Like Shane's already passed Suarez in the points. So like it's just really satisfying to see this project work on top of the like local Chicago ankle.
They're exceeding expectations.
A big fan of him and just what he's doing.
So quick yes or no. It's probably too early to ask this question. Well, do you think SVG will win an oval in his career in Cup? Marcos Ambrose, Paulo Montoya never did. I think Montoya was the closest, obviously.
I think
he should have, but NASCAR threw cautions because
multiple tracks.
I'm just saying, not to be conspiracy theorists, but like they did not want Montoya to win an oval.
Well, without getting into that, he said, "Sorry,
that was a lot."
Start some conspiracy.
Quick, yes or no? Montoya.
That was not the question, Zach. Jackson.
Will he win on an oval, Jackson?
Will he win on an oval before he's done? Yes.
Will it be within 100 starts? Your stat.
Okay, but will it be at Daytona or is it going to be
a non-super speedway oval?
I think he'll win on an oval. I think he'll win on a non-super speedway oval at some point. I think 1.5 miles would be hard. I think that's just so. I think
short track,
right? I'm thinking about like
we've seen Ambrose and Allmendinger succeed at
Martinsville. And I think the arrow at the 1.5 miles is just so weird, even for like. Yeah, but I think, maybe it is a plate situation, but I think a short track, maybe it starts raining at Martinsville or something,
Ooh,
I don't know.
Cool. I'll be waterbending the clouds over in Virginia to get that to happen. God, I want to see a rain race at Martinsville so bad. That would be a barn burner. Oh my gosh. My thing with SVG on ovals is I am in no rush with his performance on ovals. I literally do not care. I don't think they care. I don't think anyone cares as long as he's making progress.
He's a rookie.
Like we saw him at Pocono. At Pocono, he's a rookie, and it's another reason why I'm glad they did not have him mess around in Xfinity for like another year. And honestly, I don't even know if that was a worthy amount of time to do Xfinity because the car is so different. Like this next gen car, especially on the ovals, it's tricking up Kyle Busch, like someone who's driven ovals his whole life. I don't really expect SVG to get to that level because it's hard. It's hard to win your typical NASCAR race. It just is. I don't expect him to ever win an oval, to be honest with you. Unless it's like a super speedway. But I'm also in no rush because that's not what he's here for. And I kind of love that. He has 11 playoff points, by the way. Yeah. And I think the conversation is there any chance he can get to the round of 12?
He keeps getting points.
that's a conversation worth having because we have 2 more road course races where he can get, there's 14 playoff points waiting for him to grab, right? Maybe not the stages, but I'm curious to see what happens with that. Although I don't remember what tracks are even in the first round.
Well, we briefly mentioned it, but Daniel Suarez is out at Trackhouse. Any thoughts on that before I move on?
If you didn't see it coming, you weren't paying attention.
I agree.
I don't know what to say. Daniel Suarez is not cut out for the Cup Series, and that pains me to say because I love his representation. We need a Mexican driver, in my opinion. I don't know if we need one.
It's
but
very
I liked
beneficial
having it.
and good for the sport.
Yeah. Just more foreign drivers in general is kind of cool. We kind of talked about that in the Mexico episode. However, Daniel Suarez, I do want to put some respect on him because remember, he is an Xfinity Series champion. His career definitely did not start off well in the Cup Series because Carl Edwards retiring. He got rushed up the Cup.
Yeah.
Did not find really stable footing because JGR didn't want to wait for him. Understandable. Then he was at Haas, then Gaunt Brothers. Trackhouse finally gave him some stability. They gave him 5 years. He's won 2 races. Could have been worse, but SVG is ahead of him in points. You have young sensation Connor Zilisch waiting. Why would you keep Suarez? I will say Suarez has a place in NASCAR. I just think it's an Xfinity. I hope Daniel realizes that and doesn't feel like, I guess, offended by that. Like, is that offensive to say?
I'm hoping he doesn't try going for like the Spire 7 car because I feel like
I hope he doesn't do a quarter.
I hope he doesn't like take like the 96 car he drove for that year.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't like take a ride like that to be like, oh, a placeholder. Then I'll get something else. Like, no,
I would hope at this point,
do a seat swap with Connor if you can. Like, I feel like that's the best.
John Hunter Nemechek and someone else like showed like, or even Justin Allgaier, like just go back to a lower series and win. Because he can, again, he's an Xfinity Series champion. Like, that's a big deal. I don't want to, like, undercook that at all. That is a really big deal. He can go to that series and win another championship. I think that's where he belongs, and I think, honestly, he would enjoy it more. And then we still, again, have that Mexican representation. He'll go back to Mexico next year if we go back in the Xfinity car in front of his home.
He'll probably get a cup ride there, too.
That's where he belongs.
Someone, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, maybe a part-timer.
Cup starts maybe.
It really is like a tragic career where it's like it's not like things like fell the wrong way just a little bit here and there, and
just barely.
If Edwards doesn't retire when he does, I think Suarez's career is entirely different.
Like then like his situation there is different, and then he has to screw around with the 96, and then like he starts setting up. And then, like, you even had the situation where, like, Trackhouse was entering the Cup Series, and then, like, the next gen got delayed, and so he was, like, their guy that Trackhouse was, like, getting set up on. Well, then, like, also Chastain became this, like, hot asset kind of, like, out of nowhere, and then Chastain makes the championship 4, and, like, suddenly it's not Chastain and Suarez.
We thought Chastain was putting pressure on him.
It blew
and then
apart,
SVG,
and it all just kind of tumbled apart, and it's not, he could have performed better and saved some of those scenarios, but like it's tough. It's tough. It sucks. It's hard. It's pro sports. It's the way it goes.
A generational road course racer comes from halfway across the world, randomly wins a NASCAR race at Chicago, and now Daniel Suarez doesn't have a ride next year.
Right.
Like, that's crazy.
Like, it's very like the charter. This this is really interesting to me, but like if we have reached next gen like charter era NASCAR, we have reached like so into this new era of being like it's like pro sports roster moves, right? Like you have some young guys on your roster, and like if you just can't get it done, I'm sorry, but like we gotta go. We gotta keep rolling here, and it's just really interesting how the silly season driver market has changed as we finally like rolled through Xfinity and trucks being restructured without the bushwhacking, and like all this stuff is finally rolling around, and we've reached this new era, and somehow Daniel Suarez feels like kind of a number one victim of all these like scenarios.
Yeah,
it does, literally. And something else about that too is because the next gen car is so different, it's done something to the Xfinity series to where I think 5 years ago, I think we are sitting here saying that Connor Zilisch needs another year in Xfinity.
Probably.
Right? But because the Xfinity car is so different than the Cup car, it's like, honestly, that's kind of a waste of time, to be honest. Maybe it's not. I thought someone on Twitter said, well, in Xfinity, he can still learn racecraft, but I don't know. There's things you can do with the Xfinity car that you can't do with the Cup car.
Someone of his ability.
So I don't know.
It's, you know, it depends on the situation. It's so situational with the team and like the driver and like, he can move on. Yeah.
I might as well. And because again, there's really no value in keeping Suarez for another year. And I hate to say that because, again, I respect him. I do respect him. I just think he belongs in Xfinity. And that's not to be ashamed of. Like, Justin Allgaier is one of the most talented NASCAR drivers, and he's setting the world on fire in Xfinity, and it makes me happy.
Let's transition back into the race. Jackson, Carson Hosavvar crashed right in front of you, and you texted me, Hosavvar just crashed. And I'm like, well, on TV, he's still running. And you're like, no. And then you sent me a picture. What was that like? And for this incident, by the way, Austin Dillon called Carson the biggest dumbass in the sport. Jackson, go ahead.
It's if you attend races in person, you know, sometimes you can see a wreck coming, but like sometimes there's also just the random moments and you're like, I saw that, and or you don't see the wreck happening. And this was such a weird moment of like, Hosavvar was running in the top 5, and like I was following him come through my section, and then he just boom, just slams into that outside wall, and I was like, uh-oh. And then here comes everybody piling in. It was really crazy to see that happen. And like, it was such a, like, I wouldn't call it an unnecessary error, like drive hard, whatever, but like, I don't think a veteran makes that same mistake on lap, what was it, 3?
It was early.
Yeah, and that's why I really agree with Austin Dillon calling him an idiot, because, I mean, Jackson, you and I play iRacing, and I bring iRacing up a lot when talking about stuff that drivers do, and I don't mean it in a way where it's like iRacing is like this perfect simulation. I mean it in a way where it's like, when I run a race, especially like when I run the Chicago street course, I am not pushing that hard to where I'm going to make a mistake like that very early. Because
ultimately,
all right,
keep going.
Yeah, well, it's just because it's a long race. It is a long afternoon. There is no reason to be pushing it that hard, that close to the wall.
Whatever.
You're not even in your rhythm yet. You shouldn't be taking risks like that close to the wall. It's ridiculous.
Oh, sorry, Jackson. I said it so many times. He is just Kyle Larson. Shut up, Jackson. He is literally just Kyle Larson. He is Kyle Larson of 2014. Carson Hosavvar. Rinse and repeat. Jackson, really quick, then we got to move on.
I was gonna say the tenth of a second.
We ain't gonna rush. Damn.
The 10th of a second you're gaining on lap 3, you're gonna lose that in the next corner anyway, right? That's what it's about. It's about understanding that like you don't need this extra millimeter right here because like you have another corner immediately ahead, and it's like understanding that sequence he just didn't seem to do, and it cost him his race, and unfortunately it took others with him. But okay, wait.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It just cost him his race.
Talk about this crash because I had my headset on. I was listening to spotters. A lot of spotters complaining about sight lines, which like I guess is fair. I don't know how they were all set up, but that spot in particular, that is like I could see the spot. They were like 2 buildings down. Like unless the tree was literally on top of that entire street, which I don't think it was, you could see that no cars were continuing through. Like you could tell that a traffic jam was happening. So like, I don't know if anyone's trying to say like spotter sightlines as an excuse for slamming in there. I think that's a spotter. That's a skill issue, I would say, for a lot of those. Also, one of the main drivers that really piled in there was, why can I not remember his name? Who was in the 13 this weekend? Was it Will Brown? Yeah, he was one of the ones that really piled it in there. And so I would assume that was maybe not a top tier spotter on the 13. Now I'm like saying more than I probably should. But anyway,
I know all these teams, they're like looking for, they look for extra spotters for all the extra corners and stuff. So they're
I just wanted to touch on spotters and everyone piling in there. It was, I just wanted to say it was some skill issues. Just all I wanted to say.
I'll be interested to hear what like DVC has to say about
missing some calls. NASCAR did not throw a caution for Cody Ware on the last, not the last restart, but the last caution. They threw it very, very late. It took 35 seconds for NASCAR to throw the caution after Cody Ware very violently hit the tire barrier, by the way.
scary. Y'all see
It was
that
bad.
clip?
Our
Oh my God, it was
Patreon member
scary.
Blake actually linked it to us on our Patreon comments. He said, we need to have a serious discussion about NASCAR race control and their lack of consistency. Some weeks you barely have a wall scrape and NASCAR will instantly throw the yellow flag in the name of driver safety. And this week, Cody wears deep in the tires after a brake failure and is actively calling for help on the radio, and NASCAR just let him sit there. What's it going to take for NASCAR to make any sort of meaningful changes? And I will say, when this first happened, I thought NASCAR was like, we're not going into 20 overtimes. There's rain literally right like 20 blocks down here in downtown Chicago.
Yeah.
That was my first thought. Don't like that. But at the same time, I was like, okay, I get it. But that's not what happened. Second of all, if NASCAR overtime is not a thing, this is not like a discussion. NASCAR's not like holding.
Oh, I know. It wouldn't be a big
wouldn't
debate.
be holding a flag at risk of a, like overtime or something. They would just throw it. They would just.
It wouldn't be such a monumental decision to
Yes.
throw the caution flag, because it is, and NASCAR knows that. Because if the caution does come out, then it's like still going to be controversial, because it's like, oh, now we're going to reset those reasons, or maybe we don't need NASCAR overtime. Another thing I will say is give Parker Kligerman his checkered flag for winning the Roval last year, because that was stupid. This is stupid. I don't even really know what to say. It's 2025. This is a very technologically advanced sport. We should be able to know that a car just crashed into the tire barriers, either with humans, either with a sensor, either with a camera or a replay. This is getting stupid.
Mind you, Kyle Larson crashed the exact same way a year ago, and the caution was out instantly. I don't know if it was the same spot, but it was very, very identical incident.
I think it being late in the race might play a part into that.
Yep.
But if it did, that's bad. And if it's because they didn't see it, that's somehow even worse. What do you mean you didn't see it? It's a street course. It's not that big. Like,
And
there's like obstructions, but come on.
The video of the crash, there is someone standing there. So, and they were like on the radio. So I don't know.
They must have been on break. Their radio must have been dead. I don't know. Give Parker Kligerman his checkered flag back. I'm serious. Like, this is stupid. Parker Kligerman won that Roval race.
Jackson, do you have any thoughts on this?
No, I think you guys have kind of said all. It's just, I mean, like, I don't know what can be said here that hasn't already been said with NASCAR is like, you enter your Mickey Mouse scenarios, like regardless of how these calls go, you just set yourself up when you lose this. Like, it's the same way the Indy 500, not this year, but it got a little messy there for a little bit of how we're doing these calls. Like, when you start overthinking your like race entertainment, that's when you run into issues. Just to like officiate your race, and I don't know if that like they need to, maybe they need to restructure a little bit the race officiating versus like NASCAR in-house. I don't know.
We've been saying,
right? That's what I'm like. There's nothing new here. This is just more NASCAR caution overtime crap, and it's nothing new.
And
it didn't. Just be thankful. It didn't impact the like results yesterday.
True.
Yeah.
I will close this segment by saying NASCAR overtime needs to go. Without it, this would not be as
exactly.
It's
It's another little kind of side effect of having overtime. Yep. Are we ready for a brand new segment on the Gay Racing Podcast? It's called The Girls Are Fighting. Because we have a lot of... They are fighting on the streets of Chicago. The first matchup we have to talk about is Joey Logano versus Ross Chastain.
Ding, ding,
Joe
ding.
Log.
Those two
Joe
very
Log
nice
versus
guys.
Watermelon.
I'm surprised to see these two guys mad at each other. Normally very clean racers.
I can't believe Joey Logano's mad at Ross Chastain for driving like Joey Logano. Crazy.
That's not what this was.
The pot's calling the kettle black. So what is the drama? Because I don't remember what even happened.
Hold on, Zach. Jackson's like, that's not what it is. He's wearing a 22 shirt. Boo. Anyway.
That's not what this is.
I heard that like Cindric piled in and got into Chastain.
Well, there was a cluster going into turn one. And it was Larson that actually got into Chastain, if we want to get into it.
What? I'm sorry. My headphones just died. I'm sorry. What? No, I can't hear you. I have to turn these
in the next turnover, Chastain went in like a doofus, and he took out Logano, and actually also the 47. Poor Stenhouse can't hit the brake.
Stenhouse wrecked a lot.
Isn't it crazy how, like, anyway. But then Chastain, like, took out Logano, and Logano was like, dude, you're mad at the wrong guy. And also like, anyway, so that's what it was about. So
Do you think is like how people are blaming Carson Hosavvar for anything? How they used to blame Chastain for everything? Logano's like, oh, the one car was there. He used to wreck people. It must be him. Was it like that?
I do. I think Joey probably overreacted a little bit. However, I will say that whole pack of cars all day, it was the same pack of guys that weren't quite at the front, but they weren't the back markers. They were just stuck. None of them were good enough to pass.
Like Larson
anybody.
was there all day.
It was, yes, I could literally name them because they were in the same pack. They were just mad all day. It was Cindric, it was Austin Hill, it was Logano, it was Larson, it was Bubba when Bubba got caught when he was trying to go through it with Alex Bowman. That's how that kind of got created. That's where Bubba ran into trouble, is because that pack was so stuck.
They were literally a pack. They were like going 3x3 for a moment. Like it literally looked like it was a Talladega.
And it's so interesting because none of those guys could figure out how to pass each other.
No.
So it was literally a skill issue again, and they all just got mad at each other. So that's what this was really about. I think it was just the whole day boiling over in these few moments for those guys in that one pack, the 22, the 1, the 2, it was all of them all day. That same block of just anger. I could see it. It was beautiful.
There was an expletive-filled quote from Joey Logano on the radio. You can find that on social media. I was going to read it, but I'm like, that's a lot of expletives, and we try not to curse on here. So we won't do that. But our next matchup, the next girls who are fighting are Alex Bowman and Bubba Wallace again.
They've
gone at it a lot.
They have beef that goes way back. Oh my gosh.
And can I just say, this was so stupid.
It ended up being really stupid. Like in the moment, I thought it was like, oh my gosh, this beef is continuing, and part of me was like, is this because of the bracket thing? Like, oh my gosh, this stuff is real.
Did TV try to make it about the bracket? Because it wasn't. But did they try?
Not really.
They didn't explicitly say it.
Okay.
I think they maybe alluded to it, but
I kind of want to go back and look at the True TV Larry Mack and Jeff Burton broadcast because they did focus on that. I wonder if Larry Mack and Jeff are like screaming, like, "Oh my God, they're on the bracket."
They were definitely not caring about the bracket.
No,
anyway, I was just
I
curious.
don't think anyone
if they
cares
tried
about
to
that.
sell it that way.
I don't think the main broadcast necessarily was, but
No.
I mean, otherwise we weren't really sure. Bubba really was the instigator.
Oh yes,
and I hate to say that, but like he just kind of was. But again, it's short track racing, and for a moment,
he kind of admitted it afterward, right? Like it seems like this was kind of cooled down.
And that's the part that people on social media are not talking about because Bubba did take blame for it later.
They interviewed Bowman before he even talked to Bubba because Bowman didn't know what happened there, like why Bubba just like cut him off. So spread more kind of misinformation and just drama, but really it's not a big deal. So it's just
Bubba Wallace really cost himself so many points for no good reason. Like he's on the playoff cut line, and we've talked about him doing this before. This is not the first time. He really just gets ahead of himself in these situations, and he was running like 6th or something,
and he recovered from another spin.
And we're going to talk about points here in a little bit, but like Ryan Prix is like one of your big guys for points, and Prix had a really good finish, and he lost so many points because of this.
And he went through that pack of anger, and it got him.
The pack of anger. Yep. He fell victim to the pack of anger. Thank you.
That pack of like 8th to like 15th. He went in there, and it just boom! It just exploded.
He couldn't handle it.
No,
we have a Patreon comment from Chris. He says he's a big Bubba fan checking in. He says he doesn't blame Alex Bowman for what happened. Bubba was way too aggressive, but that's why he likes Bubba. He wears his emotions on his sleeve, and sometimes that bites him. I think that's fair.
Because I don't think Bowman did anything wrong.
No, I don't think. No. I will say it is kind of funny that the people who are mad about Alex Bowman having the most vague, quiet, shy Pride sticker ever that I've ever seen. It's barely even supportive Pride.
I forgot
on Bowman's car. Those same people are now big Alex Bowman fans because they don't stand for anything. They're just vile people. So, whatever. I just had to say that.
We got spicy, Alex, this month.
Anyway. There is,
Pride Month's over. It's
wait till IndyCar later.
Oh, Lord. That's why he's telling us to hurry up, because he needs to
He needs to let that anger out.
some-
He's in the circle, the pack of anger. He's in the pack of anger.
Anything else on Bubba Wallace, you guys?
Well, I want to talk about points in the 22 specifically because I have a 22 shirt on. Okay, I'll talk about it.
I was teasing.
I know, but that's what I'm leading into what I'm about to say. And so I was specifically watching him because I'm like, okay, the 22 has one objective today: score regular season points. He's on the border of the top 10 in the regular season standings.
We're talking about Joey Logano?
Yes.
Just to clarify?
Yes. So he is not going to win yesterday, right? He's not going to win a stage yesterday. But he could score points to move himself into that top 10 on regular season points and score playoff points. He had opportunities to get points at both stages, but instead they pit, and he got outscored by, I made a list. Where'd it go? He got outscored by Chase Briscoe, Alex Bowman, and Ross Chastain, who are all around him in that battle for the top 10 in those regular season points. So they threw away like 10 plus points that they could have had in either or both stages, I guess, in search of a good finishing result. It just felt, I don't know, I would be interested to know what Paul Wolfe was thinking there, because regardless of if it sets you up poorly for the rest of the stages, you still lock down those points, and then you can be maybe less mad at Ross Chastain later in the race, because you could have scored points there. And at the end of the day, that should have been their only objective in the day. That is how they secure playoff points.
Because you have to assume you're going to get spun. You just have to assume you're going to get spun.
So anyway, I just thought that was really peculiar. And if they miss a cut by 3 points and it comes back to these regular season points, this is one of those moments for the 22. I'm just pointing out because I specifically watched him and I saw that happen. Anyway,
so
moving on.
Zach, do you have the playoff grid ready?
Yes,
Let's talk
sir.
about the playoff cut line. All right. So Tyler Reddick is plus 142. Alex Bowman is plus 39. Chris Buescher, he had some engine issues. He still finished 18th. Like, he was on pit road, hood up and everything.
People were looking at him to be very quick yesterday, so it's kind of unfortunate.
But I think he still managed to, manage what he got there.
Yeah.
Bubba Wallace, like we said, plus 3, and Ryan Prix. Ryan Prix finished really well. I think he got, 6th or so? 7th? Somewhere up there. But Ryan Prix just really continues to impress me. And as things are going right now, I feel like Prix is probably going to be in over Bubba. Do you guys agree with that?
Well, the cut line's going to move, so...
Right, I was going to say, I'm assuming the cut line right now is below Chris Buescher.
Assuming it doesn't move, though, do we think Prix would be in over Bubba?
Prix is going to finish above Bubba in the regular season standings. Okay. Yes, to answer that question, yes.
I guess there is a world where... the cut line doesn't move, to be honest with you, because really we don't have that many races left. Really, the road courses, are they wild cards if SVG just keeps winning them? So I don't know. That's something
like it'd be Allmendinger,
or
Ty Gibbs.
I think guys
that would jump in.
I think guys that could win are guys that are already on our screen, to be honest with you. Yeah. So even like Reddick, Buescher, Bowman. So
to correct myself, Ryan Prix finished 7th. Kyle Busch recovered from a spin to finish 5th. I think he might be too far back to make it on points at this point.
If he would stop having,
especially if it moves up.
Does he have a quota of I gotta wreck every week? I gotta
get the sponsors on screen. He's a different sponsor every week.
I know what paint scheme he runs every week because he's gonna be on camera backed up into the wall.
I like this scheme, by the way. The Slurpee car, it was pretty.
What bet do we want? Where is he going to wreck at Sonoma? What turn? Like the hairpin, turn 4, turn 7? I have no idea.
You know what? I would like to see him backed into the tires like Tony Stewart.
Yeah, that would be stylish. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
I was going to say it was over by the short shoot. I think it's going to be on that side of the track. Something more kind of random. Is he
going to hit that wall that we all think that someone's going to hit one day? He's going to hit the wall
maybe
turn 4? Hit that one wall.
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh. But yeah, we'll see what this cut line looks like after Sonoma. I think it'll be easier to kind of talk about it once we're back on the ovals because we'll get a gist on where everyone's performance is. So are we moving on? Because I have one shout out to give before we talk about the tournament.
Yeah, my only other comment is Tyler Reddick did finish 3rd after flying late on those new tires. He wasn't going to catch SVG or anything, but really good on points. I think he's pretty fine, even if they get a winner or two.
They're definitely they're trying to search for a win so bad. You can just tell from that team.
He has more speed than he did earlier on.
They need to show that they can win if they want to fight for the championship, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I want to shout out Katherine Lick, who got a top 20 finish yesterday. First woman since Danica in 2017 to get a top 20 or something, whatever. I just think it's really cool. And I know a lot of people are downplaying it because there was a lot of attrition yesterday. And, you know, people are like, well, that's an easy top 20 because she just stayed on the racetrack, blah, blah, blah. But my thing is we criticize Katherine for, you know, at Phoenix when she wrecked at Phoenix, right? All she had to do was keep it on the track. Yesterday, Chicago to me, I think shows some of her background. Like, she kept it on track for the most part. I think there was like one little issue she had, but she kept her car mostly clean at one of NASCAR's toughest tracks in a car that she's still not very familiar with, while she's, again, still trying to learn the Xfinity car at the same time. I really appreciate what she did yesterday. Just keeping it on track, letting others make mistakes, getting a top 20. It was well earned. It was well deserved. And I'm proud of her. I think it's cool. And I think people downplaying it, like, yeah, duh, it was attrition, but that's also kind of the point.
She still survived. A lot of guys were crashing.
She
could have done what Hosavvar did.
Yeah, her skills are in road course racing. She felt comfortable enough to like finish the race yesterday. Like, I'm proud of her for that. Like, she did not make mistakes that other guys would have made. I didn't hear much from Will Brown yesterday. I'm just saying that too. I kind of forgot he was in the race. But
he was part of the Hosavvar crash. Jackson said he piled right into it.
Yeah, true. But even all weekend, I'm just like, I don't know.
The in-season challenge. Do we care?
Well, kind of. It's ramping up because now we're down to 8 drivers. And it's like
I think I'm going to care at Dover. I'll care more at Dover.
Yeah. This Ty Dillon thing's kind of funny.
It is funny. I want Ty Dillon to win it.
Honestly, I think I want Ty Dillon to win it. Nemechek versus Jones next week. That's teammates.
Teammates?
They were teammates. That's going to be great. Oh, my gosh.
So the matchups for Sonoma are Alex Bowman versus Ty Dillon, John Hunter Nemechek and Eric Jones, Ryan Preece versus Tyler Reddick, and Ty Gibbs versus Zane Smith.
I think the problem is some of these are just so random feeling.
I think it's fun as long as we keep acknowledging that it's fun. You know what I mean? Like, NASCAR put it at this part of the schedule, like, obviously to be kind of fun. So, like, let's just keep it fun. Let's not get too crazy about it. Like, I know, Zach, I believe if I listened to the episode correctly, you guys talked about putting some weight behind this thing. And I think that would be taking it too serious. I think this is fun. Let it be $1 million. It, you know, maybe Alex Bowman or Tyler Reddick will win it, but maybe it'll be, you know,
Ty Dillon,
John Hunter Nemechek and Ty Dillon. And I think that's fun. And I think we can have a little fun breather instead of, you know, figuring out how to gamify everything into the championship. I think it would still be fun.
It would still be fun if it meant something. I don't think it. I just don't care. It doesn't mean anything.
It kind of gets back to, like, it means like $1 million to, like, maybe Ty Dillon's a bad example because of the, like, Nepo situation, but, like, maybe
Eric Jones.
Alex Bowman's $1 million can feed his dogs. There you go.
Well,
buy his dogs a new house. I don't know.
The Eric Jones $1 million, like, that would just feel good, you know?
Doesn't he have a farm or something? I don't know. He reads books to children. He can buy more books. He can donate that money to children. I don't know. But my thing is, I think the part of the season that this tournament is in is not good because we are all trying to talk about the playoffs right now.
Right. It needed to be in the prime. I don't want it with
I agree.
Prime.
That's what I said last week.
The last part of the Fox.
Oh my God! Wait, the first race of the tournament could be the Coke 600. I don't know.
I always think it should be
That's
like
fine.
April,
right? It's
because that mid-spring, like, oh my God,
that's
like, I think that would help.
Season. Right, we're in playoff. We're in the summer stretch. We're talking playoffs now. This should have been a few weeks ago.
Too much going on,
and we all these wild card. Like, remember that streak of races like Darlington, Martinsville, Bristol, like. They just sucked. I think the tournament during that stretch.
The Darlington, Bristol, Dega, Texas, Kansas.
Yeah, ended at Kansas. I don't care.
Oh my God! Wait, the winner of the tournament could have gotten the pole for the All-Star race. How about that?
Why not? Or they settle it at the All-Star race.
What if you win? What if you win the tournament and the All-Star race, and then you get like $5 million if you win both?
Sure.
And then it's like a challenge. It's an extra.
Yeah.
Okay.
God,
so
put us in charge.
We have some breaking news over in IndyCar, and that is because Scott Dixon has dethroned Alex Palou and Kyle Kirkwood.
We weren't at a city. That's why Kyle. We were in the middle of Ohio. That's not a city. That's why. Kyle
Other breaking news: Alex Palou made a mistake.
Okay, that's actually crazy. I've been watching Alex Palou for years and years and years. I cannot name a time he's made a mistake. Like, he's surely made a mistake somewhere. I can't name it though, because it does not happen.
Well,
and this is crazy. He wasn't really under that much pressure from Scott Dixon.
No.
And he just runs off the road. Like, was it that hot yesterday? Like, oh my gosh, that's what I'm saying. Like, that is actually kind of crazy that Palou makes it's like a 0.1% chance that he's going to make this mistake, and it happened.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And we are now 21 consecutive seasons with a win from Scott Dixon.
Incredibly impressive. 21. Kyle Busch got to 19 in NASCAR, I think. 21 that's most of my life. That is incredible. He's been winning IndyCar races forever. This is awesome. I'm happy to see him win. It's great. He deserves it. And obviously he was still, I say he wasn't, but he was putting pressure on Palou just by following him, being there.
Yep.
Well-deserved win. So
yeah. And Chevrolet is still winless. And Iowa is the next race. It's actually this weekend. I did not realize that it's right away. Jackson will be there.
I'm going to be one of 6 people in the stands.
Yay! You're supporting the short ovals.
They don't have concerts either. Like, it's just
Hy-Vee's
gone. It's just going to be hot.
I don't know if they need to have 2 races there anymore, but
yeah. I'm curious if a certain guy who's been dubbed the Corn King is going to be there and show up. That's a joke. Josef Newgarden crashed on lap 1.
I was going to say, you know who I can name a mistake from?
Oh, yeah.
He's had a few.
So look, everyone knows I'm a big Josef Newgarden fan. There's no secret about that. We know. It's my username. Look at my username. Duh.
Oh, yeah. So
on Saturday, Josef declined to do media because he qualified 19th or something. He was very upset. And it was really close. There was a half a second between 4 cars for that to go advance to the fast 6.
That's a typical Josef Newgarden Saturday, though, qualifying in the teens. I'm just saying.
Honestly, yeah.
Nothing to report here. But the media thought otherwise because they wanted to ask him what happened.
Yes. And this isn't the first time he declined to do an interview. And let me just preface, he should do interviews. He should face these tough questions. You got into this sport to talk about these tough situations, and you should talk about, even if it's the same answer you're going to give, oh yeah, we're trying to figure it out, it's not tough day, we're gonna get back to it on race day, whatever, right? Pete, that's standard.
And he said
PR
that
stuff.
after his crash yesterday, he was very clear. He talked to the media. He's like, no, we're just going to Iowa, that's it. Okay, got it.
However, ever since the push to pass scandal, there has been a very clear narrative, in my opinion, against Josef Newgarden. And I think a lot of that stems from Team Penske and Roger Penske owning the IndyCar series and having a team with Team Penske. A lot of this, and this brunt of the tax has gone on Josef Newgarden because he's the driver for Team Penske and he wins the Indy 500 back to back. Lot of factors here.
Yeah, Scott McLaughlin and Will Power, I feel don't suffer the same kind of.
No, they don't.
They don't succumb to that narrative for some reason.
They didn't. Well, it's they didn't get the Fox ad, right? It's Josef. Josef is the guy.
Exactly.
He's one of the faces of IndyCar and Team Penske.
So here's the thing: if Josef would have talked to the media on Saturday, a lot of the media, from what I have seen, would have twisted it that he was saying something else, or they would say that he's just being fake, or he was just really rude, or whatever. They just twist what he says and says something completely different, even though he's not saying that. They really push this whole villain narrative onto him. He's, again, we said this for years, Zack, he's not a villain. I'm sorry, he's not a villain.
Especially just in the sport. What has he done that's bad?
He is aggressive at times and makes some very aggressive moves
maybe
the one I can point to is Gateway 2017, that move on Pagenaud. He probably should have, and that's what I'm saying. That was 2017.
My opinion on all of this is I think Josef doesn't like talking to the media much anymore because he
No
did
matter
open
what he
up to
says,
the
it's
media.
wrong.
Remember when he opened up to the media at Barber last year? Now, granted, and we've talked about this before, that press conference was stupid and was kind of horrible.
Mhm.
Not saying it wasn't, but Josef has opened himself up to the media before, and he was honest, in my opinion, and the media took it, and kind of what you said, they made him the villain off of it. He was crying,
he was literally crying, and a lot of them, not just media, but a lot of fans were saying that he was faking it. Like, come on! Like,
and maybe you can't.
No matter what he does or says, it's wrong.
That's the thing. Now it's why even bother?
At the time, we had said that was a bad press conference. He shouldn't have done that. They should have actually prepped something. He didn't. It wasn't done the right way, right? But that was his decision. He said as much, that he wanted to go out there and just be honest and state what he felt. He does that. It's not right. And now he goes out there. He's declining the interviews because he has nothing to say, because no matter what he says, it's wrong to them.
He qualified 19th.
That's how I'm
Why are we
feeling
talking to him?
Yeah.
Like, I know Team
Exactly.
Penske's struggling.
Why are we talking to him?
I know Team Penske's struggling, but there's 2 other drivers you can talk to. I mean, I guess they did talk to them, but like, it's like become a thing. And again, I think Josef has made it worse, low key, by not talking to the media, because now it's like, man, because now they can take that angle. But again, it's like it's a lose-lose anyways, because again, Josef has been open with y'all before, and you twisted it and turned him into a villain. Just referencing the Barber situation with the push the pass thing. It's just, I don't know. I get a little irritated from it, and I am slightly irritated that Josef doesn't, because it is kind of a trend. It's like, okay, Josef, like, I get it, you're over it, but like, just say something. Like, go talk to them for a little bit.
And he did after the crash at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah.
I agree. It's fair. But here's my problem. The IndyCar media apparatus as a whole just has way too much of an ego. There's a high horse. I think they think they are much bigger deals than they all are. There's 2 in mind specifically. You can figure out who they are. That they just have a vendetta against him. I think it's a lot because of the Penske ownership. They think that this is putting pressure on Roger Penske. It's not working. I'm sorry. You just look ridiculous, and you're stroking the most ridiculous fans that hate him, and you're just giving them more ammo. And of course, as you said, Josef isn't helping it by declining, but what can he do, right?
Yeah. And I don't
it's
know
frustrating.
if IndyCar really needs that in the position the sports end. Like,
no,
I don't know,
like,
maybe
this
a
is
villain's
stupid. It's really petty.
Because is it really adding entertainment? I mean, I guess
No.
we're Josef fans, so that's our perspective, but I don't.
Question: did you guys see the Fox warm-up show?
Oh, the thing with their little robot dude.
They made a bit about Josef walking off.
That was kind of funny, actually.
To me, it was unprofessional of Fox Sports to do.
Yeah.
It can be a little goofy, sure, but I feel like that's
I'm
really
on the
unprofessional.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm
I didn't see
undecided.
it. I was at the track this weekend. I didn't see it.
Kind of funny. It was kind of funny. I didn't see it till afterwards. I was like, girl. It was just so sassy. Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
yeah. But why are they talking about
else
Josef so much when I guess they have nothing else to talk about because Alex Palou's winning all their races. So.
Well, the racing sucks, so they got to bully the guy who's running 20th, I guess.
Yeah. I do think IndyCar does better when there is drama with drivers, but I don't know.
Isn't drama though.
This Josef one does. It feels manufactured to me, to be honest. It's Josef versus the media. We don't want to see that because that's not what's happening. It's not like Kurt Busch, you know.
I want to see driver versus driver drama, not driver versus the media. Connor Daly literally called out Santino Ferrucci on Twitter.
Yeah, why are we not talking about that? And like, if it's driver versus the media,
been the villain for years now. Like,
but Fox Sports treats him like the hero.
Right. Interesting. I think that's interesting. God.
Jackson just maybe want to punch a computer.
Sorry. I haven't watched a lot of industry. I'm not.
I don't blame you because we barely watched Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, sorry.
Mostly because they're putting it up against
Mid-Ohio at all. I just saw the pass Dixon made on Palou.
The only full race I watched was the one I was at, and the ones I'm going to be at.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Let's talk about Formula One at the British Grand Prix. Lando Norris won that. And Oscar Piastri was given a 10-second penalty for braking behind the safety car.
Jackson? I think Lando's annoying and ridiculous.
I agree.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I guess you probably don't know
Why?
that. Alex knows that, but
Well, like, I don't get why people hate Lando so much.
I don't hate him.
I hate him being like the McLaren baby and the Zack Brown. Like, I hate that. That's what I hate.
Yeah.
I guess.
I don't think I feel that only because Oscar Piastri is actually putting up a fight. I think if Oscar was like,
no, I'm on Team Oscar all the way.
I think last year I maybe felt that a little bit because like Oscar was like team orders to make sure Lando could max out points, but it's like this year it's a bit different for me. I will say Lando winning the British Grand Prix for the first time, huge deal for a British driver.
Yeah.
He had a whole grandstand in the crowd.
Yeah, that's
really
cool.
big
I can
deal.
respect that.
Really
to
big
focus
deal.
in on Piastri's penalty, Oscar did lead a lot of this race. He was
Braking under the
leading
safety car.
Under the safety car.
Like-
So I watched a replay of this, and I don't know if this is why he got a penalty, but he got a way ahead of Verstappen to catch up to safety car, and then he hit his brakes, and that's what the penalty was for. But there was a bunch of like, what do you call it? Like splash? Like there was just water everywhere. You couldn't see anything.
Spray. Yeah.
Spray, that's the word. And Verstappen, when he caught back up, like Oscar was just stopped almost and nearly, swerved to not hit him. I'm guessing that's what the penalty was from. I don't know if it had anything to do with visibility though.
I think it's just like a manipulating the pace speed. I don't know. I haven't really watched the replay.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
I think
I've never heard of this rule until now. I'm a very casual F1 fan though.
I think they do it to really warm up doing it to warm up the tires, but again, I didn't really watch the replay.
They get a delta they're supposed to
I
maintain.
see.
And if he didn't maintain
right.
the delta, then that
he's backing up way too much. I don't know. There's so much room between him and the pace car.
I thought it was an offense.
That's fair. And again, I respect F1 when they actually penalize their drivers for doing stupid stuff. Even when it's like barely crossing a line, you got to draw the line somewhere.
And if y'all been around for a while, you know that Piastri is like my F1 driver. Like I've pretty much declared that. And I think this is a fair penalty. I have no issue with it.
Alex is in love with Piastri. Like
he's such a cutie.
Marry him. I've actually really warmed up to him. He's so cute.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still kind of like Lando, but I don't know. I don't really have an F1 driver.
I don't want to. No.
Damn.
Piastri is +8 over Lando Norris in the World Drivers' Championship. And the next race is Spa on July 27th. They have a little bit of a break.
Yeah. I guess this might be their summer break. I think it's earlier than it normally is. This is 3 weeks. So yeah. Wow.
It must be.
I love this. I love this British Grand Prix. It's become one of my favorite races on the F1 schedule. It's because it's one of those more classic F1 tracks that still have good racing, in my opinion. Because like Suzuka's suffered, other classic tracks have suffered. Filling out the rest of the podium, this is a huge story. I'm trying to think of like a NASCAR comparison. Nico Hülkenberg, after, he's been in F1 for like 15 years, some of it on and off, hundreds of starts, finally gets his first career F1 podium because he's gotten close before. It was like a story. Anytime he got close, it was like it's kind of like it kind of reminds me of like Kyle Busch trying to win the Daytona 500, but on like a smaller scale. Like it's like 20 years of trying almost. It's like he finally gets it done. It was really cool to see. Written with what's that team called? Stake
Stake F1 team.
F1 team. They used to be Alfa Romeo, Sauber. Yeah, they're going to be Audi next year. Really cool. Really cool to see.
Very cool. The only NASCAR driver comparison I can think of is Michael Waltrip, who took forever to get his first win. But this is just a podium.
More like a driver. Podium. Yeah, it's like a driver trying to get their first win. But takes like a decade. Like most drivers, if they take that long to win, they're probably not in the car anymore.
That's why I say Michael Waltrip's my only comparison I can think of, and that was like 20 years ago plus. So
right.
But Nico Hülkenberg. When I saw the results, I thought people were joking.
Really?
Because I do a bit on Blue Sky sometimes where I'll I'll do the fan vote or whatever, the driver of the day, and I'll replace the name of the driver I voted for with like @Dreamy Zack Racing is my driver of the day. Josef Newgarden is my driver of the day. I'll do like silly stuff like that. I thought people were doing that, and I thought everyone did it. I'm like, oh my god, everyone's just being silly today. They all chose Nico. But no, Nico Hülkenberg actually got on podium. That's cool. I'm happy for him. Like for me, like I'm a very casual fan. I don't know much, but for me, he's always just kind of been one of the last 5 cars on the grid. It's neat.
Yeah, and Verstappen was struggling even after, I think he got I don't know if he got the pole, but he qualified really well. Struggled all day with handling, and Hamilton was chasing Hulkenberg down, I believe.
He was trying to continue his podium streak. Hamilton.
Yeah. Damn.
At Silverstone.
But good story either way.
Does Lewis have a podium at all this year? I don't think so, right?
I think I know he has a sprint win. I feel like Lewis does have a podium, but I might be wrong. I don't know.
I don't think he does.
I don't care.
Recall.
Ferrari's been kind of mid this year. So.
Yeah. Well, do you have any comments on F1, Jackson? Just want to make sure.
I do not. Also, no podium for Lewis.
Oh, thank you. See, we need you on every episode.
He's finished 4 3 times.
Damn, that sucks.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no thoughts. Cool for Hulkenberg. Again, I didn't watch it. I was at the track, but good for him.
I want to check out the F1 movie, but I haven't gotten the chance yet. So.
Oh yeah,
I'll talk about it when I do.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not going to.
Before we get into fantasy, I want to say, make sure you check out all of our Pride Month guest episodes if you haven't yet. We had so much fun in the month of June for Pride. Check out all of those if you haven't yet. Do that right after our little fantasy segment here. Because Zack, IndyCar is going to Iowa. We have 2 picks to make there, and NASCAR's going to Sonoma. We'll start with Mid-Ohio. I had Alex Palou finish second. Man, that would have been nice.
Thank you, Scott Dixon. Kept you from getting all those points.
Huge. Maybe it was a blessing for me. Now I get to pick first twice. Is that how we're doing this?
If you don't have the points,
you still got the point.
Yeah.
Oh, the points.
Yeah. It's whoever's not in the lead.
And Zack had Kyle Kirkwood for Mid-Ohio, by the way. So IndyCar Iowa race 1, I'm going to go with Pato Award. First Chevy win of the year.
Oh, really? Okay. I also think a Chevy's going to win, and I think it's going to be Josef Newgarden.
Enjoy your 18th place finish.
Nah, dude, I saw him at Gateway. I'm just saying, when he's on an oval, I think he's locked in. He performed well at Indy.
Can I make my special pick?
I know there's a meteor that's going to follow him, but I'm just assuming it's not going to happen.
That's what I was just going to say. My heart wants it to be Josef Newgarden. I think he can. I know he can do it. But my head says a meteor is going to fall from the sky and hit the 2 car. No, I'm going Pato. Yeah. Pato's going to be an easy podium anyway. Jackson, who are you going with?
My special pick is Scott McLaughlin.
That's fair.
I feel like that meteor is just going to hit any Penske car though, because I really do think it's not even just Josef having bad luck. It's like Josef will get out of the race into the Penske cars. It's like then they start falling apart.
Yeah,
it's so
no,
weird.
I agree.
But I like the Pato pick.
Race 2, I'm gonna stick with Pato Award.
Oh really? Because I was gonna pick him for the second race. I'll pick Colton Herta.
Okay.
Andretti's been good at ovals lately. Herta won Nashville last year. I didn't want to pick Kirkwood because again, we're not in a city. I'm literally going by that. If it's not a big city,
does Des Moines count as a big city? It's about 30 minutes from Des Moines.
That's true.
I've been there. No, honey. No. I'm talking about like you can leave that racetrack and go to and you're in the city very quickly. Gateway, yes. I've been outside of Gateway. I've been outside of Iowa.
Jackson, who you got?
I'll do Scott Dixon. I'll throw him on my list.
Okay. I like my Pato picks. He's going to get podium in both probably unless something goes wrong.
You are so bratty. I like my Pato. You just think he's hot.
Okay, and? Am I wrong?
And? You and your little hot McLaren boys. Oh my gosh, I'm over it. You just think they're cute. Well, you know who I think is cute? Christian Lundgaard. He also drives for McLaren. How about that,
okay.
Huh? Yeah? Yeah? Nolan Siegel even, maybe? He looks like a baby.
He looks like he's 12.
He's a little too young for me. He's kind of once he ages a little bit, maybe. But he's like, it's like I'm babysitting him.
Well, if I'm being bratty, I get to pick first again because you won again.
Sonoma. 4th win of the year. SVG. Call me SVG.
I went on a limb and picked Ty Gibbs. I picked first last week. I probably should have went with SVG. I know. I picked Ty Gibbs.
You got top 3. Or no, second.
It almost worked out. So, Sonoma. I'm not making that same mistake again. I'm going with SVG.
Okay. I'm glad you got to make that decision because I was very undecided on if I think SVG is going to win again because we are going to Sonoma and this is a track
He won
that
Xfinity last year.
any veteran NASCAR driver, Xfinity is, they're bad. My thing is, we've seen specifically one guy has really taken it to SVG on one of these more traditional road courses, Chris Buescher, who's going to be my pick. He's had some really good finishes at Sonoma before. His average finish there is the best of in the last 3 races with the next gen car.
Cool.
Yeah.
Jackson.
Chris Buescher. And he won't have to worry about the playoffs anymore. Chris Buescher,
Jackson,
you'll be in.
who you got?
So.
Okay, I might sound a little crazy. I'm going to pick Ross Chastain.
Okay.
I mean, there's worse drivers to pick. Like, Ross Chastain's an underrated road course racer. He has a win at Coda. Trackhouse in general, if you have SVG in that organization, I feel like it's a rising tide.
Yeah, he did all right last year. He did okay at Chicago. He did okay in Mexico. Picking Ross.
Yeah. And I will say with Sonoma, my eyes are going to be glued to the TV Saturday for the Xfinity race because we get to see Connor Zilisch versus SVG Part 2. We didn't even really talk about that. SVG roughing up Connor Zilisch for
Jackson
that win.
Talked about it.
I'm excited to see Part 2 of that because I wonder what Connor has learned from his interaction with SVG. Because part of it, I do kind of feel bad for Connor. I wasn't really rooting for him to win, but I kind of feel bad that he got roughed up by SVG because, if Connor roughs up SVG, I feel like it looks worse. Because it's like, oh, this young guy just roughed up one of the best road course racers in NASCAR, right? Where Zilisch is still so unproven. It's I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens at Sonoma because they're both going to be in the race and I assume in the same Red Bull cars.
Love that.
Really cool, by the way. I love how Red Bull did that. Red Bull gets a 1-2 in NASCAR before F1 this year. It's great.
Well, thank you, Jackson, for joining us as always after Chicago. Hopefully we'll be able to do this again next year, Chicago Street Race.
I sure hope so. I do. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just so happy that this event has happened. I kind of went into this weekend assuming it was the end. I hope it's not. But, I was on this show years ago talking about just the prospect
half a
of
decade
race.
ago.
When it got
March
announced on iRacing.
When it got announced on iRacing, I went out there and I walked the track.
You walked it.
As soon as that was announced, cool. And I hosted my little college radio show from downtown, and I started every show coming to you live, block and a half west of the Chicago street course, and then it became real, and it's just so neat to have happened, and this SVG storyline tied with it. Just a cool event, good racing. Just happy that it happened, and I hope it continues, but. I could still be satisfied and happy if that's what it was. It was cool that it happened.
Yeah, I think that's a good outlook on it. Be, happy that it happened. And it might be back. If it's not back next year, it might be back one day because I think we're all going to remember how it's going to have a lasting impact, I think, on NASCAR, even NASCAR history. I mean, it gave us SVG, and SVG is not going anywhere. So I think
always a pleasure coming to talk about it.
It's always a pleasure having you, Jackson. And thank you to our Patreon members for sending us questions throughout the episode. You can join in on that conversation for just $2 a month at patreon.com/gayracingpod. And you can consider giving us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and liking and subscribing on YouTube. Follow the podcast at Gay Racing Pod on Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And follow Zach and I on Blue Sky and Twitter at Dreamy Zach Racing and at Newgarden.
Yeah. And we'll see you guys next week to talk about NASCAR at Sonoma, another road course, and then IndyCar at Iowa, their doubleheader. Hopefully the racing's better than it was last year.
Grab a pillow.
And we will see you guys. Yeah, grab a pillow. We'll see you got 2 races. Because Sunday I'm going to be exhausted. Oh my God.
Bye.
All right. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.